Greg Hansen on your left, class of 1964. Jack Hurley, class of 1965. Matt Tricarico, class of 1959. John Woodman Sr. over there. He's got his green on. He might talk a little bit about Wagner College today, class of 1962. And of course, I got Jimmy Schofer from 1974. We might have crossed paths. You never know. Anyhow, Nick, tell me a little bit about these guys.
Well, first of all, we have Greg Hansen here. Played basketball, and baseball at Port Richmond High School. Outstanding. Went on to play minor league baseball for about 3 or 4 years with the Philadelphia Phillies, and he is now currently one of the leading golfers at the Staten Senior Golfers.
Leading golfers. You don't kick my butt and take my money. How are you today, Greg?
Real great. This is great. You know,
Yeah.
nobody cares though.
Nobody cares. Yeah. And Jack Hurley?
Jack Hurley, again, basketball, baseball, an outstanding baseball player. University of Michigan.
What position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
What pitcher? Commodore knows.
You had a hell of a pitcher.
Yeah.
And with the Minnesota Twins. Jack.
Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
And then we have
Matty Tricarico. Okay. Port Richmond High School basketball, and I might add Wagner College basketball and Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famer at Wagner College up on the hill. There we go.
Matty, anything to add to that?
Oh, it's nice to be here. I'm glad you invited me. Thank you.
Great.
John Woodman, basketball, baseball. You got to remember, many of these guys were at Port Richmond prior to football. I'm sure some of them would have played football if it was instituted at that time.
When did football start in Port Richmond?
1968. Well, there was football in the 1930s, but it only lasted maybe 2 or 3 years. But then it was reignited in 1968.
There we go.
Yeah.
You know, Nick, when I was at Port Richmond, maybe 1958, there was a teacher, Mr. Fotiu,
Oh yeah.
and he tried to start it, and he had a meeting, and all the guys showed up who wanted it, but then it fizzled right out. No money. You needed money.
Jimmy Schofer. Jimmy Schofer was an outstanding football player at Port Richmond High School, and I might add is being inducted into the Port Richmond High School Hall of Fame, along with Jack Hurley in the new class. And Jimmy played for the University of Chattanooga at Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to tell you that he's probably one of the only football players from Staten Island that played in a national all-star game. He played in the old Blue Grade game.
Oh, I remember the Blue Grade game.
National game. He was selected to play in that, so that was quite an accomplishment.
What position did you play?
I was a tight end.
Tight end, huh?
During that game, I caught a pass or two, and at one time, a pass I caught, the commentator, I don't know who he was or whatever, but he said, well, isn't this interesting? Here's a guy from Staten Island, New York, playing for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and is on the southern team, not the northern team.
That's great. There's a little piece of history for you. That's terrific. Now, Mr. Woodman, you're also an athlete. I call him Mr. Woodman because he's Mr. Woodman to me. You also were an athlete at Port Richmond,
I
right?
played ball. You know, I should stay and understand what this guy's all about because he was known in school as being a real good man. And then when I go to Wagner College, years later, I graduated, by the way, from Port Richmond in '62, not the mumble jumbo you gave me.
Oh, I'm sorry. The mumbo jumbo. Shots fired. It's over now.
And then when I went to Wagner, that was 1966. You probably would have had me in '56.
Woo.
Something like that. Anyway, I enjoyed Port Richmond. I thought it was really good. If I may say this, I met my wife at Port Richmond, and we're still together, which is kind of like a starting story that you should publicize a great deal. I believe.
He's up for husband of the year.
So let me-
Yeah, he's up for husband of the year.
No.
Mrs. Woodman, he's doing a great job with you here. Yeah.
She's not talking to me because a little water in the basement. Come on, man. Anyway, the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and this is a true story, as Greg would tell you. Mr. White, Herb White, was our coach. He was a great man. He taught you a lot about catching in particular, a really good guy. And one day in my senior year, I think, Hank Pedro, my first year there, he was catching, and he then decided to give all of his commitment to basketball and the heck with baseball. So I got to play a little bit more. And then all of a sudden one day, Mr. White comes up to me, puts his arm around my shoulder and says, "Hey, John, look at the plate." I said, sure, Mr. White, what's up? He says, "That's Greg Hansen. He's now our catcher. You're a first baseman." True story.
You know, another unique thing about Wagner College, I only went to Wagner for 1 year. In 1956, I was the starting catcher. You have another Wagner College catcher here, and a third Wagner College catcher here. That's very
That's
different and
impressive.
unique, yeah.
Yeah. How are your knees, guys?
Back, knees, no problems with any of that stuff.
Good for you.
I do have a problem with, well, I guess I shouldn't talk about it.
No. You're all good.
At my father's gas station as a kid, so I pretty much didn't have much guidance toward college or anything, so I just said, I think I'll be working in a gas station. And that took care of
Colgate University.
That took care of
Ivy League institution, right?
Yeah. So then the All-Star game on Wagner they had, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I might have got that wrong. The Colgate was Madison Square Garden.
Right.
After the Wagner March of Dimes game, I was approached by the Wagner College people, and I wound up at Wagner College playing ball up there.
Wow. And I understand that you're in the Hall of Fame at Wagner College?
Yeah, for basketball, yeah.
Wow. Now, did you play baseball as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now, that's really something. Little piece of history. That, you had these other All-Star games. It's so important to keep these things going. These legends. This is, what we're made out of today. And I also have with me the head coach of the Port Richmond High School Raiders, I believe they're called today.
Yes.
Lou Vesey. Lou, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys are getting ready for the season right now?
Yes, we are. Camp's about to start winding down. Today, I believe, was day 13.
Good.
And we're ready to go. Have a nice squad coming back. We had a really nice spring, and we only graduated a couple of guys from the spring. We wound up playing 6 games. We finished up on June 19th. So it was a quick turnaround. We had a couple of weeks off. We started working out over the summer. We worked out with Curtis over the summer with the Big Apple games.
Oh, good.
And now with day 13 of camp and opening up next weekend. We're real excited.
Well, that's terrific. Congratulations, good luck. We'll be following you guys. You guys got camp going on right now. You're not at Port Richmond. Where was your camp?
Right now, we're working out at IS 51. It's a really nice facility. It's about a 50-yard turf field. We've been going down, putting our Port Richmond tents up, and just getting out in the community and showing that we're still doing our thing.
Oh, there you go.
Try to keep building on the program.
I might have to stop over there like NFL, doing these training camp things or something.
How long have you been coaching for you?
How long you been coaching it? There's a voice in here. How many years you been coaching over there?
This is my 16th season as head coach. It's my 20th year in the program.
Wow.
And,
Future legend right here, folks.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
terrific. And I was talking baseball a little bit there, Coach. I know it's football season, but I'm going to come back to this guy right over here, Jack Hurley. Tell me about your career. I hear you were a pitcher. You're surrounded by catchers.
Well, I had the 2 best catches, and as far as pitching goes, I played 4 years varsity baseball. I played basketball as a sophomore in the JV, and I captained the varsity both my junior and senior years in basketball.
Wow.
But baseball was my forte. I was too short for basketball.
Left-handed or right-handed pitcher?
I was a right-handed pitcher, and again, I had my 2 catches right here with me, and Greg and I go way back since, I think, we've been 11 years old playing ball together. Mid-Island Little League, Babe Ruth, right
Were
on
you
up.
pitching to him in Little League?
No, we played against one another. We did play together in Babe Ruth and in American Legion.
Wow.
And after my senior year, when I graduated, I was drafted in the 17th round by the New York Yankees.
Hey!
And at that particular time, the Major League Baseball teams could not speak to you until you graduated from high school. Now, we went and graduated on a Thursday night out at Port Richmond Stadium, okay? We're all dolled up in our tuxedos. Came home after the graduation, and sitting on my step was Herb Stein for the New York Yankees scout. because I had just graduated so he could talk to me. So, got out of the car, had a hold up going to a graduation party, went down into the basement, and we chatted for about a half hour, negotiating. And at that particular time, I had a full baseball scholarship to the University of Michigan.
Okay.
All right, so I had plans to go to Michigan to play baseball. And I had previously told the Yankees that I really wasn't interested unless you were going to give me the bucks. All right, and what happened was we negotiated, and the bucks were fairly good, but I also wanted my 4 years of education. And at that particular time at University of Michigan, it was about $15,000 a year, and they didn't want to go that extra mile. So I said, fine. We shook hands. They had all summer to sign me until I put my first class in at the University of Michigan. So we never got to that. But I was drafted 3 more times after that by the White Sox,
While you were at Michigan?
yes. I was drafted by the White Sox, drafted by the Detroit Tigers, and then in my senior year I was drafted #1 by the Twins. All right, and we came to terms, signed with the Twins, started playing baseball with them, won my first 9 games as a minor league pitcher. I was 9-0. I led the Florida State League from top to bottom. Innings pitched, ERA I think was 1.15 for 9 games. I just dominated, all right? And then what happened was the last game that I pitched, all right, and I was told that was going to be my last game because I was going up to AAA to pitch 1 game, and if I did okay there, I was going to the major leagues, all right? And that last game I pitched, after the game, I felt a little soreness in my shoulder, and what happened was, long story short, I tore my rotor cuff, and back then they had no idea what that was all about. They didn't have the MRIs, the scans.
Right.
They just thought it was a pulled muscle.
Did they have an X-ray machine?
Yeah, but the X-rays didn't show it. Lots of X-rays were taken.
Yeah.
And what happened was they couldn't do anything. And it was probably about 15 years later, I was on Staten Island and ran into Dr. Mark Sherman.
There you go.
And Mark and I were chatting, and he felt my shoulder. He says, "You tore your rotor cuff."
Shout out Mark Sherman, co-founder of the Unity Games here on Staten Island.
That's
There you
right.
go.
And Mark told me, he says, "You tore your rotor cuff." And by then, I guess I was maybe 26, 27. He said, "Why don't you come on in? I'll repair it for you, and you can start all over again." And I said, "No way." I said, "No way. I've done it."
So here's the moral of that story. You went to Michigan,
Right.
graduate.
Yes.
There you go. He graduated, played minor league balls, kids. You're listening, I know you're out there, played his 9 games, you got injured. What happens if you don't graduate? It's a whole different ballgame. What'd you go on to do in life? What was your profession?
After that, I went on and taught. I worked for Nick Bellotti at Port Richmond High School for a number of years. And then I went into the sporting goods business for a while. And then I went into the chemical business, and I have my own chemical business right now. And I invented a liquid gum remover that takes gum off of carpeting.
There you go. We're breaking that news right here on Nobody Cares Sports. With that, I want to come over to this big man over here because he can still hit the living crap out of a golf ball. And I hear he used to do that to a baseball. Greg, tell us about your high school career.
Well, it was
And after.
the greatest time, one of the greatest times of my life, Port Richmond High School, 1964. Curtis was our big rival. Everyone's trying to knock off Curtis. Finally, Port Richmond.
Who played on Curtis?
Terry Crowley for one. But anyway, we beat them in basketball. We won Staten Island championship in basketball. Then baseball came around, and everyone thinks Curtis is going to win again. And thanks to Jack Hurley and myself and a few other great ball players in Port Richmond, we won the island. To make a long story short, we lost in the city championship. In a game, Jack struck out 17 guys.
Oh, wow.
And as a team, if we
17 guys.
if we
He's a
played
humble
him-
man. That didn't come out in his high school career, did it, huh? These guys are legends, folks.
Yeah, I hit a home run in the game over a pretty good shot center field. They said the only guy to ever hit a ball there was Hank Greenberg. So,
We all know who Hank Greenberg is. You got his
but
baseball
anyway,
card.
our team probably, if we played them 10 times, would beat them 9 out of 10 times. But that year, something not too many people know, I was elected All-City PSAL catcher. And back then, it was a big deal to be all-city.
Sure.
And then I went on to Wagner College. Freshman couldn't play. I played freshman basketball. Then my sophomore year, I played baseball. Played with Mr. John Woodman, who led the team in hitting.
That's true.
And that June, I got drafted by the Phillies in, I believe, the 11th round. And I played in South Dakota in a rookie league. Next year, back then you had the Vietnam War and all that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
difficult
worried about
time,
the
yeah.
drafts. It was a difficult time, and I wound up joining the Marine Corps reserves.
Oh, boy.
And then the next
Should I
year,
say hoorah?
went down to spring training, went to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I hurt my arm. Same thing, rotator cuff is jack, and I got released. But going back to high school, though, after our senior year, I played in a thing called the JA All-Star team.
Journal American.
Journal American. They would play the Hearst Sandlot All-Stars.
Journal American All-Star Team.
They would play the Hearst Sandlot from guys from all over the United States against guys from New York City. And we played in Yankee Stadium. It was a big thing. Guys from Staten, Nick Bruno,
Nick
a good friend of
Bruno.
Matty.
Nick
Was
won-
the All-Star
Nick
then.
won the MVP that
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Joe Torre was on that team.
Yep.
Yeah. Joe Torre was on that team. Yeah, I'm in the right place, folks. I'm here, okay, with the legends from Port Richmond High School today. I'd like to thank these fine gentlemen for coming out today, giving us a little bit of time, sharing their experience with us. Will now be captioned forever, gentlemen. You've been listening to Nobody Cares Sports. I'm the Commodore. We're powered by LeBron Team NYC Realty, baby! I nailed it, Dan, along with the Ocean Yacht Club and nobody cares. We're out of here, folks.